Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Beer Nuts, episode 133. Dugouts Special. Booze Bombs is the theme of tonight's episode, so this should be a good one. Everybody should be feeling no pain by the end of this episode. So, get ready for a good one. We've got 5 beer nuts with us tonight, ranging from East Coast, North Carolina, all the way to LA. So without further ado, since this was Doug's idea for the segment, this is JR. I'm in Arizona, in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and I do have a quote tonight before I go into my untaps. So I'll start with the quote, and then we'll each do our untaps. So the quote of the day from Uncle Pete, who could not be with us, so hopefully he's feeling better. We're with you, brother. Pete, get well soon. Hopefully we'll be talking to you next time. But Pete's quote of the day is, "A man has no more right to an opinion for which he cannot account than to a glass of beer for which he cannot pay." Anonymous. But we'll just attribute it to Uncle Pete.
Amen.
Everybody, as always, pop open a cold one and enjoy it with us. Let it warm if it's a booze bomb like we're going to have, because flavors come out as it warms, as we know. So we're going to introduce all the beer nuts. I'm going to start off, if I can pull up my Untapped, which I should have done by now, and here it is. The last beer I reviewed, which was last night while I watched the movie Tombstone, I enjoyed a Dank Fruit Double IPA from Tombstone Brewing Company, and it was delicious. I will send it over to Dugout.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Dugout in Clawson, Michigan. And my last Untapped wasn't that long ago. And it's something I picked up today, fresh as could be. It's Lagunitas Waldo's Special Ale. You know what? They call it DAF for Dank. You can fill in the rest. Awesome beer.
Indeed.
All right, take it over to Greg's.
Hey, this is Greg in Dearborn, Michigan, and my last Untapped checked-in was from Bearded Iris Brewing out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's their V Latte with Rosales coffee roasted by Crema. So it's very delicious, very creamy, chocolatey coffee. Couldn't go wrong.
Awesome. Now, how about go to North Carolina? Welcome back, Ross.
Yep. So my last check-in was Oreo Fuzzy Wuzzy Slippers from Burley Oak Brewing in Berlin, Maryland. It was a really solid desserty stout. It's good to be back.
Nice. Good to have you back. And let's go all the way to Los Angeles and welcome Steve V. Welcome back, Steve.
Okay, like I said, my last check-in was from McLeod Ale Brewing Company. It's a local craft brew out in the valley. I had a IPA brute. It's described as a tropical and dry with aromas of guava, passion fruit, melon, and mango. It has a hazy body, very good, nice and mellow. Had a really nice dry finish to it. Very good beer.
All right, some great beers there. And we're going to have some great ones tonight. Now, I'll let Dugout lead the show off because he has a beer to start with and a homebrew to end with. Plus, this was his idea for the episode. So, Doug, why don't you explain to our listeners what this episode's all about? Booze Bombs.
All right. Yeah, Booze Bombs. So, I originally had another beer that inspired me to do the episode that I was going to drink on the episode, but I decided later to not do that one just because, I don't know, I found something else that was a little bit more appropriate in my fridge. But so I got this 14% six-pack of beer. I think it cost me $16, which is not bad for 14%, and it was listed as a type of IPA and infused with fruit. And I'm like, and I didn't know the ABV when I bought it, and I poured a glass. I went to take a big sip out of it, and my senses, oh man, my body recoiled from the amount of booze that was in this thing. And I went and turned the label over, and it was 14%. I'm like, oh my God. So that was the inspiration for the Booze Bomb. Let's just say, sometimes you get a beer and it's high ABV, you're going to taste booze in it. But hey, that's the fun of craft beer. Those are out there. Maybe you just want one beer, and that's the one that's going to put you there. So I decided against a different beer, though. This one's from Evil Twin, and this beer is called Hot Toddy-ish. And on the label, it says a blonde barley wine, style ale, malt beverage with natural flavors. And being that it's a hot toddy, it's booze, so Booze Bomb. So this thing pours thick and bronze. And the aromas, I do get some lemon off of it. I get some decent amount of malt in it. There's very little head at all. It's just, and the first sip tastes like an old fashioned, to be honest with you. It's got kind of that bitter and sweet. And man, this really reminds me of a mixed cocktail, that's for sure. And I think I've always thought of hot toddy as like sort of whiskey and lemon, like warmed whiskey, maybe some cinnamon. But I get way more old fashioned on this one. But I'm still liking that this beer tastes like booze. It's really amazing. I'm not sure if anybody's ever had this before. Just the fact that they're calling it a white barley wine is sort of a strange connotation. But Evil Twin is no stranger to just churning things up and doing something just completely off the cuff. I bought this, and it was on a discount. But I would actually pay full price for this. I'm not sure if I would buy 4 of them, depending on what full price was. But I like this beer. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a great take on a old school cocktail. And anybody had this or?
No, sir, I haven't. Boy, it sounds delicious. And now that it's chilling off a little bit here in our area, that sounds like it's a great beer to wind the day down and kind of warm up with and get ready for bedtime almost. But yeah, that sounds delicious.
I hear you. And the price point was ridiculous. It was, I think, $6 for 4 cans.
And you said you got this where, Doug?
Holiday Market.
They did. Yeah, they got that great discount cart.
Their discount cart. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Some sitting in there. So I bought some more today. Because I liked the first 4 I had of these, so I'm actually on my 5th one, not tonight. This one rings in at a 10%, so it's right on the cusp. I had quite a few others I could have chosen, but I just thought this would kick the show off in a good way to really, a beer that's emulating booze.
Absolutely. Good choice, and cheers to Holiday Market for a discount card. Can't beat it.
What a bargain. All right, great way to start off. Let's go down to Durham, North Carolina, and welcome back, Ross.
Hey. So tonight I'm going to be opening up a collaboration beer between, what was the other place? I know it's Casita Cerveceria, and I think it's Safety Team from Richmond. So one of them is kind of one of our local North Carolina guys, and then he did a collab with Safety Team up in Richmond. It's called Nutella, so I'm expecting that it's going to taste something like that. There's not any Nutella in it or anything. He just used hazelnuts and chocolate and stuff to kind of recreate the taste, apparently. It's 12.5%. And I'm trying to see if there's any. Brewed with a variety of malts and large amounts of hazelnut coffee from Rostov's is what's the description. So, cracking it open. It is almost black. It's poured a little bit brown, almost black, very thick. Nice dense head showed up. And On the smell, you definitely have coffee first, and then the hazelnut and chocolate kicks in right after. Thing kind of, it smells like a piece of candy, actually. Yeah, so the taste is definitely nuttiness up front, and followed immediately by the chocolate, maybe a little caramel sweetness. That's definitely some roastiness too. It's it might be bordering on being just a little bit too sweet to have a full 16 ounces of this by myself, but I guess I'll have to power through it. There's definitely more hazelnut flavor on the finish as well, now that that's sitting in there. It is it's a little bit sweeter than I thought it might be, I'll say that, but definitely all the flavors that they advertised are coming through. There's definitely chocolate, there's definitely a little bit of coffee there, there's definitely the hazelnut taste on the front and the back, and it has a nice roasty finish to it as well. It is very smooth and fairly full-bodied. Glad I bought a 4-pack of this. I'll have some to share with other people. But yeah, it definitely has a Nutella taste to it. The actual full name is Imperial Hazelnut Coffee Stout. Reading the label. So, cheers. This is this tastes pretty good. I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad I got that 4-pack of it.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it sure does. Dessert bomb. Now,
Yeah.
What's the ABV on it?
12.5. And I'm not really, I'm not really getting that. I guess having this much sweetness to it might be hiding that alcohol a bit. It's definitely not hot or anything, but I guess I'll feel that alcohol a little while.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that sounds tasty.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. I guess we're going back to Michigan now. Back up to Greg in Dearborn.
Back to me. All right. Well, for my beer that I brought along today, this is from the Aslan Beer Company. My apologies. This is their Sirtaki, which is a baklava-inspired stout. Imperial stout with honey, vanilla, cinnamon, walnuts, and pistachios. And upon researching Sirtaki, I also discovered it is a dance, also in the Greek culture. So there you go. 16-ounce can, comes in at 15%. Nice design on here, and some nice Greek columns and some dancing Greeks. That's the best way I can describe it, but pretty simple and down to the point. So I poured this about 15-20 minutes ago, kind of bringing up the temp here, and the head that poured is slight compact bubbles, kind of look like Coca-Cola. And for 15%, obviously she's grabbing the side of the glasses pretty darn well. And so let's take a first sniff out of this thing here. That's a lot of the honey and vanilla I get out of it. Big sweetness. Yeah, very big sweetness. Doesn't smell boozy at all. I mean, for 15%, this is my second Aslan stout, and they really know how to hide it. I don't know how they do it, but it's super fantastic here. So let's try our first sip here. Yes, more of that same. This is a pastry stout, indeed. Sweetness, honey, vanilla. I mentioned that it had pistachios and walnuts and cinnamon. Maybe you get a little bit of that cinnamon. But to say, to get the walnuts, pistachios, I'm kind of searching for it, but it may have a little nuttiness to it. But this is super delicious and super smooth, super dangerous. Certainly drinking one of these tonight is certainly plenty. And fantastic. I think this was released in October of last year. And I had a great trading partner out of Grand Rapids named John. I appreciate it. So if he ever listens to this, Yeah, fantastic stout. I would highly recommend anybody getting their hand on Aslan. They're doing a great job, and there you go. I don't know if anybody else have had any Aslan, not necessarily this stout, but maybe other varieties.
My first visit to Aslan was like life-changing. They had a unbelievable stout that I still to this day think is the best tasting non-barrel aged stout I've ever had. It's called Cocoa Maypalm. I think I may have reviewed it on the show at one point. Just unbelievable flavor in it. And it truly was life-changing, and to the point where any chance I got to get Aslan beers, I made a few trades here and there, and been to the brewery a couple times whenever I'm in the D.C. area. It's in Herndon, Virginia.
Yep.
And my uncle lives 2 miles from the brewery.
Perfect.
But he's like 75 years old. If I really needed a favor, I could ask him to go to a release, but probably won't go that route. But this one certainly sounds like something I would enjoy. Baklava is I'm not that big of a dessert guy, but baklava is a weakness. So really kind of jealous that love to try that sometime.
Absolutely. Must search. Yes.
But pretty much everything. Go ahead, Doug.
Oh, no, I'm going to say I'm 100% in agreement with you with wanting to try that beer. I mean, you had me at pistachio nuts and baklava. I mean, and if I could order baklava with extra honey and pistachio nuts poured on it, I would.
That sounds fantastic.
But, yeah, if that beer is halfway close to that, I'm in.
Take it. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I encourage anybody who ever gets a chance to try anything from Aslan. Everything they make is top shelf, and I actually think they're expanding. They're going to move their tap room and expand. So hopefully that means more beer for everybody. So good one to have on here. And before I turn it over to myself, Greg, I think you had some. Greg's going to be our hipster tipster tonight, and just have a couple notes related to the Booze Bomb episode. There's some higher ABV in the news.
Absolutely, John. Thank you. Keeping with the high Booze Bomb here, Dragon's Milk announced, I guess, today that Triple Mash is returning. Looks like April the 27th. I guess it's going to be a Michigan-only release. And so anybody that's ever had that knows that it is a must seek out beer from them. I mean, obviously all their Dragon's Milks are fantastic, but Triple Mash is right up there with all the best. So, it comes in a nice, easy 17%, so that's a nice warmer. So I don't know if it looks like it's a pub release. I don't know if we'll see any around in any of the stores. I can only hope that maybe a few will make it this way. But that is definitely one to keep an eye out for. Guys, anybody have any comments on Triple Mash? Everybody have it there? I mean,
yeah, I love Triple Mash, and when I moved, I had to be selective about what I took from Michigan to Arizona with me because I couldn't take everything. But I know I have a few vintage Triple Mash in my stash here. So I actually should have probably thought about bringing one of those out for tonight's episode.
That would have been a good one, yeah.
But it's great that they're going to make more, and I'll be begging and groveling to any of you guys up in Michigan that are able to find some to maybe throw a few in a box for me. Speaking of that, not to get it too far off track, I do want to thank Uncle Pete for a nice box of Old Nation treats and also a couple fresh KBSs that arrived. So it made me a little less homesick for Michigan getting some of those. So still got a nice stash of those. And I got to try the Brute, the Woodshed series Brute from Old Nation, and that was a
classic, instant classic beer.
Yep.
We could do a whole episode on that one alone.
You sure could, and I think the other thing Greg was going to talk about involves Avery and Founders, right?
Yes, indeed. Looking here on the Detroit Free Press from Robert Allen, who's a big beer reviewer and here in the area. Founders is teaming up with Avery Brewing, but I guess through their parent company, Mahu San Miguel. Avery is going to be brewing their all-day IPA out in Colorado. So that's it's pretty big news. I guess Founders is needing to reach out the masses a little bit more, and this is a great way to get out there. So, John, you got any more comments on that?
No, it's a good, Avery certainly puts out some big hitters. I was real close to having a tweak on the episode tonight. That's another one of those big high ABVs beers that I really enjoy. So, I'd imagine this will be more of the same, maybe expand the footprint for Avery. And, basically, a lot of people didn't like the Founders buyout that caused them to be out of the Brewers Association, selling off 30%. And I don't know how this affects Avery's status with the Brewers Association. It may be adversely affected, but at the end of the day, it puts more good beer into more good people's hands, and that's what we're all about on this show, is exposing more good people to more good beer. So I think it's a win-win. As long as they try to, as long as they don't mess with the quality or the brewers, which I don't believe they are. I think that Mahu San Miguel is a good partner. They pretty much hands off, and I think it's just going to open more distribution channels for all those beers. So
I was going to say, at least for those on your side of the country, at least it'll get all day out there a little bit fresher and a little quicker. So it's a much better win for Founders.
I was looking for all day IPA for our baseball episode last week. I thought that would be a good one, and all I could find was a 15-pack. No. And I didn't want to buy 15 of them for one episode, but it's good that it's here, but it certainly will be even better once it's a little fresher.
Exactly.
So it's all good. It's all good.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
It's easy to find flooring online, but imagining those floors on your floor, a bit trickier. So Lumber Liquidators made Picture It, which adds our floors to a photo of your space. Just point, snap, and choose a floor. It's great if you're looking for new floors. Also, still fun if you're not. Try Picture It, only at llflooring.com. These are the floors homes are built on. Get free samples of your favorite floors sent to your home. Visit llflooring.com to order today.
ChristopherMedia.net.
All right, well, I'm thirsty, and shockingly, I haven't opened my beer yet. I've been completely sober so far, but I've been waiting for this treat all day.
That's so anti-show normalcy.
Oh, especially for Booze Bombs.
That West Coast influence.
Well,
everybody opens.
I wanted everybody to hear
the show starts.
This particular beer does have wax, but I'm really happy. Great job, Witch's Hat Brewing from South Lyon, Michigan. So again, going back to Michigan for tonight's episode, I've been doing a lot of local Arizona stuff, but now I'm going back to Michigan for one of my favorite Booze Bombs, and it's called Well Water. It's a American barley wine style ale aged in Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels. So I just opened it. Again, kudos to Witch's Hat. Some of these wax bottles are really hard to open, and you have to battle. This one has just a real thin layer of wax. You could easily pop it open on the first try with a regular opener. So let's pour this bad boy into a glass. I'm stoked to have this all day long. I've been kind of put the beer in the fridge, and it's been staring at me all day, and now it's finally in my hand. I just poured it. There's a very, very small head on this thing, and what little there is disappearing quickly. I can see some carbonation in here, some bubbles, but so I just poured this in the glass, and it's like a ruby red to brown. So it's probably brown with a little touch of a ruby red hue at the bottom. But you can see through it. And when I'm taking a whiff of this, the aroma, there's quite a bit of hops in this, and it is an American style. And I do believe, from reading on their website earlier today, and I'll double check this, I think it's double dry hop, or it's dry hopped at the end of the process. So the hops are supposed to be in here. So yeah, getting a lot of hops. I get a little bit of that, what am I searching for? Like a caramel toffee aroma as well. So a slightly sweet aroma. So let's go. I'm going to take a sip. So it definitely starts out nice, very smooth, very nice medium to full mouthfeel. Slightly sticky, but not cloying sweetness. But there's definitely a lot of malt and a lot of sweetness in this. A lot of residual sugar. I'm not certain what vintage this is, but these hops have held out pretty good. But they're not overwhelming, but they're there. So some of your Barley Wine is Life crowd will probably not like this as much because they prefer the English barley wine style ale, which does not have all these hops in it. But Americans love hops. I'm going to take another sip. Surprisingly smooth. It does have a little bit of an alcohol burn at the very end, but at the beginning you just taste some like sweet malt, and then you get that burst of hop goodness. So you got a little bit of a bitterness that cuts that sweetness, but it's pretty well balanced. It's really a nice beer here, and it does finish with a little bit of an alcohol burn, which I looked on their website. Let me pull this up because I had it ready. One source told me it was 14%, one told me 15%, so we'll just split it down the middle and call it 14.5. I love the story on the bottle, and you guys know I love to do this, but I got to read this because this is a dedication beer. So let's just read the story. We release this beer once a year on June 26th in remembrance of a very close friend. Many years ago, and long before his passing, our dear friend's drink of choice was cheap whiskey mixed with a touch of water and drunk from a gallon jug. We called this boozy and dirty drink well water. This beer is our tribute to him. Our hope is that you enjoy this beer with friends in celebration of those great friends that we all have, whether with us now or with us then. Jerry, you're missed, but always remembered. So that's a pretty cool story. Wellwater, American barley wine style ale, aged in bourbon barrels. So Witch's Hat, pretty well-known popular brewery in the Detroit area. Witch's Hat's about an hour west of Detroit, if that, the South Line. Yeah. And, they have some really beers that beer lovers seek out, connoisseurs seek out. I guess the Trex is the one. I believe that one has peanut butter in it, so I always avoid it, but coconut in it too.
Yep.
But the other favorite of theirs, besides this one for me, is the Vanilla Night Fury. Whenever they have the release, I would just beg people for the Vanilla Night Fury, and everybody else can fight over all the other ones. So great brewery. They're doing great things. It's I know they've moved once and expanded. I think they're thriving, and this is a perfect beer for this episode. Definitely 14-15%, and it feels like it and tastes like it, but in a good way. So again, fortunately it was about 80 degrees here yesterday in Arizona, but today it's a high of 65, and it was very windy. So it was a kind of a chilly day. So this is a chilly day for us here. But we did have, it's so windy here today, they canceled my son's baseball practice. So
wow, that's crazy.
So, we had like 40-mile wind gusts. So, but this is warming me up. I know I'm getting no sympathy for the chilly 65-degree weather, but
yeah, because it was like 70 here a couple days ago. We were loving it.
This is warming my innards. So, has anyone else had this?
No, this is one that's eluded me. So I'd love to get my hands on it.
No, I have not either, and I just from your review, I'm just dying to get my hands on it too. So
yeah.
Well, Dugout, who I got this from every year, Brian M., who Brian and Liz always used to get me a bottle or two every year because they knew I loved this. So
all right,
this bottle came through him. So you can he can hit him up. I'm sure he'll be
I'm
glad.
sure he's got one in the reserve tank.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm sure he
thanks
does.
for that info.
He lives right down the street from the brewery and is a great beer buddy and a huge Miami Dolphins fan. God bless him for that. But thanks for the hookup on this, Brian M. And if you're listening, hook up Brother Doug for us. All right, I think Steve V must be really thirsty out there in Los Angeles, so let's take it out to California. Steve, welcome back.
Hi, hello everybody. So you must have got our wind because yesterday it was pretty windy. I was out in the valley, and it was blowing pretty good. So I guess it blew in your direction. But while I was out there, I stopped at this tap room, and they have like 16 local beers on tap, and then they also have a nice little selection of beers that you can buy and take out with you. So the beer I chose today is Boulevard Brewing Company out of Kansas City, and the beer I got is Rye on Rye 6. It's a limited release, and it's limited only because normally I guess the barrels that they use are from Templeton Rye out of Iowa, and so normally they over that at Templeton they let their whiskey age in barrels for 4 years, and sometimes they do a special batch and they allow them to keep going for another 2 more years. So Boulevard got a hold of some of these barrels, and then they make these limited release Rye on Rye. This beer comes in at 12.9%. So it's got a little bite to it. When I opened it up at the beginning of the show, just kind of let it breathe a little bit. And the first thing I smelled from it was all you smell the whiskey. This is definitely going to be a whiskey tasting beer. Color of it, it's pretty dark, kind of like a Coca-Cola or something like that. No head on it when I poured it, but it does stick to the glass. Like I said, you're smelling it, even if it's been open for the last 20 minutes or so, you can still smell the whiskey coming from it. Ooh, that's good. First drink is very, very smooth. Looking at it, it says on their description that it's the hops they use is a Magnum, Citra, and a Steering Golding, and the yeast is a Scottish ale. And then they age it for 10 months in those Templeton Rice 6 barrels. Get another drink of this. Get like a toffee taste to it, mixed in with the whiskey, kind of like a toffee vanilla taste to it. It's like I said, even though you still get that whiskey taste, and it's still very smooth. This is something that, like I said, you can drink at the end of the night, finish up with, with maybe some dessert. This would probably go good with some ice cream or something like that. But yeah, like I said, very good beer. I would highly recommend it. I don't know. I've never. Normally they do a 6. The Rye on 6. So, and I know they've been doing this since 2009, and they come out with a different release every year. But it's very good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, this rings a bell with me. I think I had it at a share once, and everybody raved about it. I remember people saying, if you get a chance, if you see this on the shelf, grab one. So certainly sounds like something I'd enjoy, tell you that.
Yeah, the more, like I said, the more you drink it, the more the vanilla comes out of it, which is very nice. I think that's why I like it, because I'm a vanilla eater.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, that was a good circuit there. Just before I turn it over to Dugout, who's going to highlight our last beer of the night, one of his home brews, I wanted to just I did circle back to the website when I had time, and the well water is dry hopped a second time in the barrel. So, and it says 15%. So, anyway,
amazing, cool.
there's been some great beers tonight, and I've never, I can't ever remember having one of Doug's home brews I didn't thoroughly enjoy, and Doug usually doesn't make too many session ales, so why don't you tell us about your Booze Bomb homebrew, Dugout?
Well, it's sort of officially hit 10%, so that made it into the criteria of the show. What I have is a Belgian triple, and Steve mentioned Styrian Golding hops, so that's in it. And then I also fresh hopped it with some Tea Maker hops, and the fresh hops were harvested last fall and then just kept in a cryovac situation and then just reconstituted them a little bit to put into the batch of beer. So as fresh as the hops could be for this time of year. And I think it came out really well. It's a very straw-colored beer. It did hit the 10% mark. It does have honey and Belgian candy sugar in it. It's got a nice thick body to it, and it's perfect for this episode because it is so boozy in front right now. Just because I just transferred it to the keg, and boy, you can just taste all the pure alcohol on it, and it's kind of enjoyable. I think it's going to mellow as it ages a little bit, but and then a big shout out to Uncle Pete because he's been brewing his heart out, and I know he brewed a Brut IPA that will be ready for the next show, so that we have that to look forward to. I had also brewed a Brut IPA, and mine got drank between the last two shows, so I never got to present it. It was all Nelson Sauvignon hops, and came out spectacular. Obviously, because it got drank in a week. Homebrew report done.
Good one.
Well, Doug's homebrews usually don't last long, and I'm sure this one won't either. So,
yeah, my last on tap was a Brut IPA, and it was very good.
All right, well, that about does it. Anybody have final comments? Maybe your beer is warmed up. Any more flavor profiles coming out, or everybody just mellow?
No, just empty glass,
kicking back
at this point.
Last sip coming up, but yeah, it's just as beautiful as it was when I first opened it.
Yeah, the Nutella is it warmed up nicely too. It's got a little more roastiness to it, but it's still smooth, and it actually might have gotten a little more boozy as we went along.
I can tell you mine's warmed up a little bit since I opened it, even though it hasn't been that long. But the one thing, when I take a sip of it, it almost, the hop part of it almost reminds me of Dogfish Head 120. But without, it's a way different, the rest of the beer is way different. But the hop profile, I guess it's because that real strong alcohol and the hops hit you. But there's a lot of like vanilla, toffee, caramel in the base, and a nice base that counteracts that hop bitterness. But yeah, this is dynamite. So get up, Brian, for a well water, Doug.
That 120 would have been a heck of a beer to review. Isn't there a Sam Adams one that's way up there as well? The Utopias, isn't it?
The Utopias.
Oh my
But who's
goodness.
going to crack that bottle for the show?
Those things are only like $200 or $300, right?
Oh, that's it? Oh, shoot. Okay.
I've had it. Have you guys?
No.
Yeah, I've had it. I've had it at Share, and I also had it in Las Vegas when I was out there. They sold it for like $20 a shot. Actually, a shot. It came in a shot glass, a little
It was like
1.5 ounce.
Though. It was.
But that's all you need. I mean, it's like what 70 proof. Or
Yeah, I mean, it just. And what's the stuff Brewdog did in the squirrel bottle?
Oh, yeah. What was that called?
Because that was like just insane, wasn't that? Like,
I think the Bismarck was one of them.
As high proof as whiskey, almost.
Jesus.
I think the Bismarck was. Yeah, I think the Bismarck was like. It was like 90 something proof, right? It was up there. Yeah.
And then they package it inside of a bottle wrapped with a stuffed.
That wasn't Sink the
squirrel.
Bismarck, but they did make
Oh
one.
my God.
That was
Sink
like
the-
extremely
wait.
expensive.
Sink the Bismarck comes in at 41% ABV. Holy
I mean,
smokes.
that's stronger than some bourbons.
Good grief. I want to see what Utopia says. Utopia is only at a mere 27% ABV.
Oh, so
There's
that's nothing.
There's a video out there on
those Scotsmen
YouTube.
smoked them.
There's a video out there on YouTube of some good old boy guzzling the Utopia. So yeah,
Oh yeah, Alabama Boss. I've seen that one. That's fantastic.
If you guzzle some Utopia, you might be a rich redneck.
I have to post that. That's a good one.
Well, all right. Good episode. Chris isn't here to say, find us on Instagram. Hey, I actually posted the well water on Instagram before the show. I'm going to dedicate myself to try to put more pictures on Instagram. So if the rest of you guys can post yours there, it's our Instagram account. When we go off air, I'll give you the password so you can log in if you so choose. I'm not an Instagram user, but I'm making it like my pet project to post more Instagram pictures from the show. So, and likewise, post back to us, and tell us what you want to see, what you want to hear, beers you might want to see on the show, topics, because we always listen to our listeners, because without you, it's not worth doing. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Catch us on Twitter at Beer Nuts Podcast. And as they say in old Mexico City, AMF.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.